who I am. I'll be right there to remind you again. You know me, you know me.
Well, man, looking at Bitcoin yesterday caused depression, maybe caused some suicides, unfortunately. But in the last 18 hours, we've really had a nice little turnaround in Bitcoin. I think the news of the Lightning Network beta testing, and then more news from, and we're just going to take you over to this article right here. Bitcoin price jumps 1K after Carney tells G20 crypto does not pose risk. So a little backstory on this. A few months ago in Bitcoin, there was this whole sort of thing that at the G20 summit, world leaders were going to have to talk about cryptocurrencies, what they're going to do about them, regulation, you name it. And when the market was very bullish, well, that was good news. Man, cryptocurrency's going so mainstream, they're going to have to talk about it at the G20 summit. You got to buy some, mania. Price goes through the roof. I mean, just to give you guys a real quick example of how this happened, we all saw it. Boom. Okay, now the market sentiment is completely different. We're completely crashing. All the fear and anxiety is in the market. We're worried about crushing regulation. We're worried about people who bought in 3 years ago selling and dumping on the market and bringing it down to nothing. There's fear in it. And there's also the fear that at the G20 summit, they're going to discuss the necessity of regulation and start trying to crush it. Well, this is good news then, given the sentiment of the market currently, which is G20 crypto does not pose a risk. Let's get right into this. Bank of England Governor and Head of Financial Stability Board Mark Carney told G20 members that crypto assets do not pose risk to the world's economy in a letter dated March 13th. Reuters reported Sunday, March 18th. So this is very good news for the world of cryptocurrency and those of you who were concerned that there was going to be crushing regulation. Now, of course, until the actual summit, things can change, but this is good news, and the market has reacted accordingly in that we've seen Bitcoin have two big buy-ins, nice little recovery moving from 7,300. We're sitting at just below 86 right now. So the market's responding nicely to this bit of news. Now, how much momentum it has really remains to be seen. So anyway, responding to comments of members, the FSB has undertaken a review of the financial stability risk posed by rapid growth of crypto assets, the later rates. The FSB's initial assessment is that crypto assets now pose risk to global financial stability at this time. This is in part because they are small relative to the financial system. I mean, this is true. The week's G20 summit has been a red letter day in cryptocurrency industry for several months. As early as December 2017, international regulators and politicians signaled they would use the event to bring the topic of crypto regulation to the international stage, pushing for a coordinated future roadmap. Okay, and there were some people in the crypto world who saw this as bad news because they thought, man, this is the beginning of crushing regulation. But the new money that came in during the mania phase saw this as good news because they saw that, okay, this is being addressed on the world stage. And in fact, it's really neither good or bad news, honestly. I think the fact that it's popular enough to get the attention of world leaders is good news. How they handle it depends. So anyway, Carney's already appeared to move markets with Bitcoin moving $1,000 later, circulated Monday. Bitcoin trading at an average of 8,300. Okay. Himself had also previously voiced the need for regulating rather than banning cryptocurrency, despite claiming in February that Bitcoin had failed as a currency. Well, you know what I think is really curious about this is the article hasn't stated it explicitly, but for some guy like this Carney fellow, this big mover and shaker who can affect the market with what he says, apparently, people take him seriously. I think a lot of him he might have a different opinion about Bitcoin being a failure as a currency if he knows about the Lightning Network. And if he knows about the Lightning Network and if it's going to be successful, then his claim that Bitcoin failed as a currency doesn't apply as much because the Lightning Network is going to change it so much. But anyway, compared to a legacy debt, however, such new assets are no cause for concern. He now writes, even at the recent peak, crypto assets combined global market value was less than 1% of global GDP. In comparison, just prior to the global financial crisis, the actual value of credit default swaps were 100% of global GDP. So, I mean, that's important to mention. Going forward, he adds that the FSB will identify metrics for enhancing monitoring the financial stability risk should usage of these assets continue to grow, updating the G20 as appropriate. So, I mean, at the end of this, they could change everything. If we see cryptocurrency having another huge run, that the G20, they might decide to take it more seriously. You got to remember that a lot of the mainstream conventional wisdom with regard to crypto is that this is not as big as I think it is, and they think it's already on the way out. They think we saw the crypto bubble. They think it's done. They think we're just in the blow-off phase, and that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole is going to depreciate to just being some low usage utility token. And so they don't see a need to talk about it or regulate it as much, I should say. But I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong because they don't understand the underlying technology and what it's going to do. But anyway, time will tell on that one. But last day, I think, has been very encouraging, as far as, your more short-term speculators are concerned. Everyone on the, looking at the weekly charts, as I've said in my other videos, was very concerned that, this previous week's candle was going to dip below this one here. Not only on the little pointer, whatever you want to call it, line going down here, but also on the averages. So that's a good sign for, at least for the speed of the crash right now. The $1 million question is, over the coming weeks, does this become bottom, or do we see more of a squeeze and followed by going lower? So given the news today, yesterday I would have said that my biggest bet in crypto would be little volatility here and ultimately maybe coming down to retest $6,000. My little speculative segments for you guys, like some sort of action like this, right? But given this news about the G20 and the momentum of this recent little buy-up in the last 12 hours, is the sentiment starting to turn around faster than we thought it was? Are we going to see, breaking through the 9,000, even testing 10,000 and pressing above it? I mean, it's all a big question mark right now. The Lightning Network and this news about G20 can change everything. And not to mention that every one of the altcoins in the space is still being developed. They're bringing new ideas and new utility to the space. So honestly, guys, I really think cryptocurrency is just getting started. This was the first bubble of it immersing into society, the first one. And there's going to be 3 or 4 more until cryptocurrency is just 21st century money. So that's all I got. Thanks for checking in. How do I turn this off? Where's my off button? There's my